Hello guys, today we're going back to the moon to gather some samples and recover Jeb's broken ship. And of course we're also testing out a new ship which I will go through at the end of the video if you want to make something like this yourself. So, without further ado, let's fly. And the sound is off, which I'm turning on now. Sorry about that. Yeah, I had it turned off when I was testing stuff. And we have those launch tower things there, and yeah, the lag goes away once you get a bit further away from the ground. Yeah, this game seems to lag when you launch for some reason, and I don't think it's just the part you leave behind on the launch pad, because it seems to happen all the time, even if you don't use stuff like that. So yeah, that's weird. Anyway, we are going to start our gravity turn once we get rid of this first stage, which will be at about 12,000 meters. And of course, we do have to land pretty close to the ship on the moon, but we're going to be using the RCS packs on our carbonauts to get to the other pods, so a few kilometers is okay. That's a bit too much. We want about 45 degrees here, a little less. Okay, that should be fine for now. Our speed is okay for this altitude. Yeah, those engines are overheating, but they're not actually overheated until this bar is complete. It just means that they're starting to overheat, and that's fine. That happens a lot. Don't really need to worry about that. Now this second stage will get us into orbit if we use it properly, and this next stage on the lander here will take us to the moon and should take us all the way through the landing. But if not, as long as we have half a fuel tank left in our last stage, we can get back home. And we turn ourselves horizontally because getting into orbit is all about lateral speed. It doesn't matter how, it's all about how fast you're moving horizontally, not vertically. So building up your horizontal speed as quickly as possible is actually more effective as far as getting into orbit is concerned than heading straight up and then turning. Now we're gonna wait until we reach our apoapsis, and then we're gonna do another burn. Little more than half fuel tank left here, more than enough to get us into a nice stable orbit. And where's the moon? The moon is there, so if we want to start our transfer burn with this stage, we're gonna need to turn our ship a great deal, which is a pain in various unmentionable places. So yeah, I'm thinking about adding RCS to these bigger ships, not for the sake of landing so much as just for turning them, because that is beginning to bug me a little bit. And that's of course kind of what you're supposed to use the RCS for anyway. It's, as far as I understand, meant for turning your ship, for maneuvering as it were. And that's our radio telescope with our astronaut guy still on board. Actually, yeah, we should at some point recover him, but not just yet. And that is a stable orbit. Both are above 70,000 meters. Okay, yeah. We're talking about orbital mechanics, lateral speed. Yeah, point is the planet curves below you, so if you head horizontally, you will end up heading backward. That is, you will end up heading upwards if you move fast enough. And why are you spinning like that? And suddenly it decides to spin like that. What the? No, it spins. Oh no, that's just the planet moving below us. That's not the ship actually turning. It doesn't move when you time warp. And you want to aim 60 degrees ahead of it if you want to intercept it. So that would put it right about here. Or rather, it should put us right about here for our transfer burn. Gonna turn on our engines just a smidge, even though pointed the wrong way in order to turn the ship. Now we turn them off and keep our ship turning. And then, once we reach an appropriate heading, I'm gonna turn the engines back on to stabilize ourselves, to stop our turn. And there's the marker for a prograde burn, which essentially means that you're pointing and burning in the direction you're heading in. So, yeah. In a second. Okay. And after this, I'm probably gonna do a min-max strip too. And that stage is out of fuel. We don't want this firing, because whenever I do use one of these vertical decouplers, for some reason it makes my ship spin and change heading. I don't know why, and it's kind of a problem, because if you don't have a lot of time to get this next stage going, it can really screw up your whole mission. Yeah, I'm aiming a bit further ahead of it than is ideal, but let's hope that this works out fine. It should. Whoa, actually this works out really well, far too well. We want to orbit it first, because we don't know where. Yeah, if we come straight in, we probably won't be lucky enough to actually land next to our capsule, so we need to do an orbit first. Okay, now careful with the time warp. It seems it still lags when you time warp, especially if when you change speed. So real careful. Bit more. Yeah, you want to start turning your ship when you're about 1.5 minutes away from the point where you're gonna do your burn, because it takes time to turn your ship, and it takes time to do your burn too, because, well, if you want to burn at the periapsis and you need to burn for 60 seconds to get all the speed you want, whoops, that's entirely the wrong direction. You want to start burning 30 seconds before periapsis, because then in average your speed will be applied at the periapsis. Mathematics and stuff, you know, that weird stuff. And how are we on? Whoa. Whoops. Yeah. Fuck. I'm gonna time warp a bit, because that command pod is on the dark side of the moon, and while I could do it like that, I really could, I prefer not to land in the dark, because you have to be very careful, and that means you spend more fuel on your way down. And that is okay. Next orbit, I'm going to bring my apoapsis in to about 80,000, and then once we hit said apoapsis, we're gonna, well, actually no, once we hit this side of the moon, the side that's currently facing Kerbin. We're gonna bring our orbit in nice and real low over this place. And then, as we pass over it, we're gonna apply our brakes, as it were, and slow ourselves down for our landing approach. How much into... Yeah, it could be better, but it's fine, I think. It's not a problem. Can work with this. Okay. First things first. We need to... Yeah, it still doesn't turn as easily as I would like, which makes landings a little bit tricky, but we can work with that. Okay. Screw that, we're gonna adjust our heading once we're closer in. Yeah, you can't really do it this way, because this side stays more or less at the same place, and it's these that go up and down. You can't change your angle when you are like 180 degrees away from it. On the opposite side of the orbit, you have to do it once when you are 90 degrees away. If you want to adjust your trajectory for the landing, if you want to adjust the angle of your orbit so that you come into a polar or more equatorial orbit, then it's a bit different. Okay, it's close enough. Yeah. Okay, how are we doing on fuel? Still one full fuel tank left and a few fumes in here as well, so we're fine. Fuel's fine. Okay, once we reach that apoapsis, we're gonna start burning, because it's gonna take time to get rid of 600 meters per second of speed. Takes time for engines to apply that much. God, stop lagging! If you couldn't... Yeah, we're gonna aim a little off from our retrograde marker so as to push our trajectory this way closer to the capsule we're aiming for. Okay. We don't want to get rid of too much speed too quickly, because then we'll fall short, and we don't want that. We want to be within a manageable distance, as close as possible, but I'm not gonna sweat it too much on this flight, because we're not gonna be walking anyway. And our height is still 12,000 meters. We're pretty close to it, actually. 12,000 meters, 15,000 here. Yeah, we're close. And how we hit... Yeah, we're gonna fall a bit short, but that's okay, I guess. Actually, we can correct for that without accelerating. We just get rid of our vertical speed so that we drift that way for longer before we reach the ground. Drift in that direction, that is. And we watch this marker to see how we are doing on our vertical speed. Don't want to head upwards, but we do want to avoid heading downwards. Okay, now we get rid of some more of this. Whoops, bit too much, but that should be fine. And yeah, we're gonna head in on this trajectory. That's it, we're set up for our final landing approach. Okay, bit closer, that's good enough. Okay, we get rid of most of it, that's good. Lateral speed, I mean. tricky, but yeah. At first, yeah, you need RCS, but once you get a bit of practice in with setting up your landings, you really don't need RCS that much. You can do it pretty well with engines alone. Yeah, we're gonna be pretty close to it, I think. Set this up rather nicely, if I may say so myself. Okay, and yeah, little enough fuel left there, but we should be fine. Could be lighter, I guess, but this will do. At least it's not pitch black. That's fine. Now we need to burn off some of our speed. Don't worry, it's gonna be fine. The ground is at about 1000 meters here. Remember from... and we can use that as our marker too, so... Whoa. And we're burning a bit too quickly. Still plenty of fuel left. That just shaved... that whole thing only shaved 10 liters of our reserves here. So, it's just fine too. Okay, almost there. Coming in. Yeah, watch the textures. Not too far away from it now. Yeah, it's being a bit conservative with the 1000 meters, but better a little too much than a little too little. Final minor adjustments, and there's the ground coming up now. You should probably be able to see this if you're watching in HD. $50 liters of fuel left. We're gonna be fine. I'm very carefully managing my speed now. Almost there. Yeah, we could just cut our engines and go straight down now, but I'm gonna try and do a really gentle landing here. There's our shadow. Don't head upwards, don't head upwards, come on. Oh, 1 meter per second. Toggle SAS. Okay, we're down. Yeah. Okay. So it's a bit ways off, but that's fine. We're gonna send Bill to repair the ship and take it back home. You start the repairs while the other two gather their samples. Okay, let's get a bit away from that. We just use the shift key to avoid slamming into the ground, and watch this speed indicator here to see how quickly you're moving upwards or downwards. Do that and you can just fly around the moon. The Minmus even more easily. I think you have enough fuel in that jetpack to get into orbit. I certainly managed to land my guy when I parked the ship in orbit and had him go down with his RCS pack. It was awesome. only he didn't have enough fuel left to rendezvous with the ship and get back. So, you know. Slow down now, slow down. Yeah, watch that vertical speed carefully. Slow down. Yeah, this ship had computer problems in an earlier video and Jeb didn't have the parts to fix it, so we had to abandon it for a time. But now we have manufactured the necessary parts and we are gonna use it to take extra samples back home. Okay, so we're gonna send our guy up there and start the repairs. Up, up, up he goes. Okay. You start the repairs. Okay, switching craft. Yeah, how's your fuel doing? Your fuel's doing fine. And the map says nothing. Whoa, that's high. This could really be useful for looking for artifacts on the moon, because I have seen an arch. There's monoliths here too, as far as I know. But yeah, the arch was next to one of the equatorial craters on the moon, and I've seen it several times, but I don't really remember. Well, I can't figure out exactly which crater it is. I haven't really paid that much attention to it. Damn it, he crashed. Forward. Go, go, go. Okay, that's good enough. Yeah, I have other games that I could show you, but I need a program that can capture video game footage, not just screens, you know, desktop stuff. So if you know a free one which I could use and that works well without stupid limitations like 15 frames per second and stuff like that, or 30-second recordings like it is with the free version of Fraps, that would be great. And I could show you some other cool stuff too. Okay, so picking up rock, picking up another rock, and whoa. Ay! Too much, too much. Yeah, you have to really watch this vertical speed very carefully, otherwise your guy is gonna crash. And, well, you get the idea. Picked up rock. Oh, come on, don't do that. Let's turn RCS off. Head over to the lander and load the few samples we have gathered here on board. Then we're gonna head back to our big ship, which Jeb should be preparing for the return trip now. And of course Jeb is busily gathering samples over there right now. Well, not really, but we're gonna pretend he is, because too much of this running around on the moon stuff is probably gonna be boring. Okay. Come on, grab hold. Grab. Gods. Right. Toss that in. Let go. RCS on. Fly, little Kerbal, fly! And try not to crash. Yeah, these are really convenient for moving around on these lighter gravity planets. Although they're not enough to get out the ground on Kerbin. Just too weak. Still, useful if you can actually manage to land somewhere else. Yeah. It's actually gotten quite a bit harder to get to other planets in this version, and kind of can't wait for them to add another planet somewhere further out, like in orbit around the sun, in a different orbit around the sun, and that would be like a real challenge, I think. Fun though, and it would give me more things to do here too, since I'm kind of running out of ideas. And if you can, you know, offer any cool ideas for a future video, I would really appreciate that. And you get to influence what I show, and maybe get to see your idea made into a video. So you know, if you're into that, really, do send me your suggestions and slow the F down. Come on. No, not that quickly. Hover, 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 hover. Okay. There you go. Okay, both ships are loaded now. Yeah, once I set it up on return trajectory, I'm not gonna bother with... Whoa! What? I'm not gonna bother with going through the whole landing procedure. Well, until they get into the atmosphere, since now you're supposed to be able to... And that is not quite high enough or something. No, you can't grab it. Come on, get in. Anyway, once they're in the atmosphere, I'm gonna switch to the other capsule and fly it back as well. Wonder if that has enough fuel left or if Bill is doomed. Okay, how are we doing here? I think we can just burn towards 270 and F the orbiting. First we head upwards. So 270 is here-ish. Okay, it's fine, that's fine, doesn't have to be perfect. Burn like crazy, please. Yeah, actually we want us to maintain a slight upwards angle here to avoid accidentally falling to our fiery death. And yeah, but that's more than enough fuel if you use it carefully. Just have to think things through a bit, and then it's gonna be fine. And the 270 orbit is actually better for the moon, because then once you reach your escape velocity, you end up closer to your Kerbin apoapsis than you would with a 90-degree orbit, well, heading. So it's easier to get back to Kerbin, more fuel efficient that is. Just watch it. Yeah, and that angle isn't as good as I would prefer, but it'll do. Okay, So we're gonna be pretty much at our apoapsis once we get away from the moon. Or not, but then again, in this particular scenario, the orbit is so high that it... Okay, maybe not. Kind of got that impression when I tried it out before, but maybe I'm wrong. Sure, someone will comment on that too. Okay, how we doing on fuel? Yeah, if I was really pressed for fuel, I could do it differently and do some in a way that saves fuel, but since we have plenty and don't want to waste too much time on the return trip, gonna do it like this. Okay, 20 kilometers to guarantee that we land. And we're in the atmosphere. End flight, tracking station. And we go to our original Moonlander design, which is landed here with Bill on board currently. And why are you moving? You shouldn't be moving. Why are you showing surface speed? Oh, that's just the loading glitch. Gonna use up our remaining RCS to get off the ground. Still plenty of fuel left on this, so not a big deal. Retract the mobility enhancers. Actually, yeah, let's ignite our engine as well. That's not providing a lot of thrust, and it's probably inefficient to do it like that. How much? Yeah, it doesn't show you how much RCS it has left in the tank. I hope they add that functionality, and it would also be good if you could turn the liquid fuel engines off like you can with the aircraft ones, because that's... you end up with your aircraft fuel feeding in where it shouldn't, and you know, it messes up the whole thing. Come on. Gear retracted. Okay. And this is gonna be a slightly longer thing for the simple reason that this engine is really weak now. It's more than 2 times weaker now with the latest patch, so it's really weak. If fuel efficient, I think that this is actually the most fuel efficient engine in the whole game currently, but it's so weak that it's not useful for much. Okay, how we doing on fuel? Yeah, it doesn't use a lot of fuel. It burns very slowly, but it also burns it very efficiently. Okay, let's do it here. Doesn't have a normal SAS module, just the advanced stuff and what's in the cockpit. Did it to save on space and stuff, although I don't really remember, I've moved past this design anyways. Have a different small Moonlander setup now. So, you know, coming up with designs that actually work more or less efficiently, instead of the stuff I showed you in the first 0.16 video. Okay, and this time I might actually do a orbit first. Although, yeah, orbit first. We're gonna burn a bit past our periapsis there. This looks fine. Time warp off. And fire the engine. Yeah, this engine does gimbal or vector its thrust a bit, but not a lot. And gives you a tiny bit of extra stability, but nothing really worthwhile, since it has so little power and its vectoring range is so small. It's not really useful for additional control either. It's good for when you need a small effective engine, and that's about it. Okay, let's just bring that down. Okay, seems about fine, but these sometimes change once you change over to the orbit of different planets. See, it was 20 kilometers, now it's 35, and we're gonna slow that, bring that down to make sure we land. And yeah, that's just a crashed airplane command module. Don't pay any attention to that. Okay, ending flight, vehicle assembly building. So this is gonna be the final part of the video where I show you how this is set up. Have two stages here, two lifting stages with 3 fuel tanks and these powerful engines here, and there's the lander setup. So these are held in place from both sides, each of these, with these launch towers. Outer stage feeds into the inner one, as you can see, and they fire at the same time, of course. And yeah, also there are plenty of struts to hold the whole thing together. Struts are your friends, especially if you're doing a big ship. You will need them a lot. Careful strutting is a must, you know? So, lander setup, it's a double lander with this outer stage here, which detaches as you saw, and inner stage, both of which have their set of landing legs. And I haven't really found a better way to set this up other than to add it below the command module and add struts to hold the whole thing together. So, and again, all engines fire at the same time, and the outer ones feed into the inner ones. Okay, I'm gonna show you the whole thing together so that you can get a last look, and I'm gonna show you the small moonlander design as well. Okay, so anyway, this is a working and more or less efficient rocket capable of landing on the moon, and I think Minmus as well, although there you have to really watch the fuel. Haven't flown it to the Minmus successfully, but since it has such a low gravity, it should be rather easy. No harder than landing on the moon. It's just that with Minmus you need different staging because, you know, you're gonna be using less fuel on the landing part, but more fuel on the getting there part. So, okay, where's Moonlander 2? Or is this it? I think I had a second Moonlander. Yeah, this is it. I saved it over the previous one. So, yeah. This stage here, but it's heavy and it has trouble getting up speed once it launches, so there's these 3 to help it off the ground, these detach. Oh, and these are firing from the very start, these 3, to give the ship a little extra stability, and then these and the central one fire when you get rid of this launch stage. These are for transferring you to the moon, and this is the actual lander stage, and this is central stage is mostly for the return trip. So yeah, like, favorite, subscribe, leave your suggestions, comments, questions, and I hope you enjoyed this, and goodbye.